All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's November 1st, and we're talking focus notes in this particular episode. Today, we introduced or reintroduced the focus notes to the class. It's kind of a way to now incorporate some of the thinking maps that you've been doing into our notes, and I think we're going to probably use this for the remainder of the quarter or semester. All right. So we're talking about the colonists preparing to fight Britain, and this is chapter 5, 3.1. Now, focus note taking can be done in at least three ways or two ways, okay? Two virtual ways, and then one non virtual way or just on paper. Now, I sent you all a copy of the focus notes that we're using for Prepare to Fight in your class notes in OneNote. Okay, so you can click on your name, go to class notes, and you will see a copy there. What I encourage you all to do though is to make copies of the copy that I sent you. Don't just type everything on there. Make a copy so you always have extra copies of the digital in OneNote. Or you can go over to Google Classroom. Now, when you get over to Google Classroom, check the stream, okay? And I'll always try to have the stream updated, and this should always be at the top. If it starts to slip down because I'm adding assignments in there, then I'll just, I'll always move this up to the top. All right. But here's a copy. You would click on this and you would make your own copy, and you would come back here as many times as you need to get a copy. And using the Google Docs in Google Classroom, you know, it's easier to type all your text in the boxes and it stays in the boxes. Now, if you want to do some drawings and you want to use the draw feature, that might be a little, more difficult if you're not familiar with, the drawing tool in Google. But these are certainly easier and just as effective as the OneNote. Now, over in OneNote, what I mean is, if you start typing here, and you know how it sometimes it comes out of the box, and you have to kind of play around with the box to make it fit in certain places, then I would encourage you to use the OneNote, or excuse me, the Google Doc version of this. But I like it in OneNote because you can use the draw feature. It has highlighters and everything here for you. You can put your pictures and your sketches and your diagrams directly in here, okay, pretty seamlessly. Okay, so you choose, or you can just use a piece of paper. And I have a couple of these in class, or you can just make your own, or you can print these out at home and, go use it that way. So let's go ahead and set up your focus notes for preparing to fight. Now, as I said, I may have said before, this is a college prep. This is a college prep tool that you will eventually develop, now and through high school. So when you get to college, you'll know how to take proper notes or effective notes. It goes through four phases. All right. You can set up, you do your setup, what's the format, what's the essential question, what is the target or the focus or the objective of the lesson, and you put all that stuff at the top of your notes. Then the processing. You go back, and after you've done the reading and you've been given some guidance, you start to identify, important information, what you thought was important, what stuck out to you, what you might see on a test. Then you start connecting your notes, and you're connecting with your peers. Okay, if you were in class, you would partner up like we did today, and you all would just start to share some of your opinions and reactions, okay, and make further edits to your notes. And then finally, summarize, okay? In 2 to 3 sentences, you would just summarize what you learned today. Now, I would pause here because this is the format, and this is also what you would put into your notes. The topic goes in the topic box. EQ is the essential question, and we're looking at why did the colonists decide to break from Britain? You would type that there. And then down here, the format would be 3 columns. one for notes, one for a diagram or a thinking map, and some examples, a summary, or a flat icon. So pause here and then type your information in. Okay, then we continue to set up our notes because this was the part of my lecture. Okay, it was less than 10 minutes. Students you'd already read this part. What I encourage you to do is after you type this, maybe pause it, type the notes out, okay, and keep everything in the notes. I may have told a couple other classes that they could type in the diagram or example or summary. Keep all the notes in the notes part. And what I encourage you to do is to use a different color to kind of show your writing and your thinking as you're listening to the lecture or video or reading, whatever the case might be. Okay, so go ahead and jot these down. Then folks paired up and they read Preparing to Fight, Chapter 3. This is over in Schoology. If you go to the textbook in our course, go to Chapter 5, Section 3.1, Preparing to Fight. And we only concentrated on these 3 paragraphs. And folks took turns reading. And you're highlighting things that will help you make notes on this. You're not taking notes, but if you weren't in class, I encourage you to take notes. But you were just preparing for the notes, preparing for the note taking. Okay. And then, folks, and then I took over. We read the textbook. You can either do it in sketch notes. We saved the diagram for last. But remember, these notes are for you. And I'm going to emphasize certain things, but I'm not going to tell you what to write down. Okay. You write down what you think is important. Some classes made it to phase 2 where they were processing their notes, and they were, after the lecture, they went through and highlighted the consequences, highlighted things that they agreed on, and made note of that. Then there's the think, pair, share part where you would look at the consequences of the intolerable acts by the colonists and then start sharing your ideas and then creating some icons and examples. And so now here you want to be able to, there are only 2 categories. So maybe 2 thinking maps or maybe just 1 thinking map. Okay, this could be a tree map for this part down here with the 4 decisions that were made. The main purpose could be a circle map where you're kind of describing or defining the main purpose of the First Continental Congress and why they met. And then over here, you just want to provide some extra examples. Okay, either you just summarize in a sentence or a few words. Over here, you find a picture of it, or you can even find some flat icons and put those over here as well. And then next is the summary. Okay, some classes made it to this part, other classes did not. Sometimes I'll give you sentence frames, other times I may not. Okay, but whatever you receive, make sure that you expand your writing. Okay, because you can see with these 2 sentence frames, there is a part where you can expand. You expand with your connection. You expand with your think, pair, share with your partner. And you put all those things in. And also, don't forget the grammar check. All right, so it's getting a little long. That's what we did today. Okay, make sure you go back and rewind this and at least set your notes up. So if you're here tomorrow, you can put those in or just finish your notes. Okay. And maybe tomorrow I'll post some examples if we get done. All right. Send me some messages if you have any questions.